Good afternoon and welcome. It's inauguration day in Nigeria today. So happy inauguration day to every bona fide Nigerian, whether you have a passport or not, Nigerian passport or not. Welcome to the show. Today is Wednesday, midweek, the 29th of May 2019, and I dare say is an auspicious day in Nigeria's democratic history. Welcome to The Buzz, your social media program on television. My name is Patience Belokafo. I'm always here ready to let you know what's trending on social media. And of course, I'm not alone. My panelists are here with me this afternoon. Mr. Nuruddin Adegbenro is here. Good afternoon, Mr. Adegbenro.
Good afternoon.
Happy inauguration day to you.
Well, I wish you the same. We are all in it.
Yes, we are all in it. That's right. Mr. Adegbenro is a lecturer, he's a journalist, and a media consultant, amongst others. Welcome again. Also at the table is Mr. Segun Shokpito. Good afternoon, Mr. Shokpito.
Good afternoon, madam.
Happy inauguration day to you as well.
Same to you and all Nigerians.
Of course. Mr. Shokpito is a business and financial consultant. He's also chairman, board of trustees at Network, a good governance advocacy group. I dare say this is your season.
Absolutely.
Yes, keeping tabs on
everything,
promises versus denials and
manifestos.
Exactly. Welcome again.
Thank you.
All right, behind the camera is Comrade Rahman Adebi waiting to come on. But first, I welcome you viewers to the program. 0802-836-8971 is the number to use. Of course, we all know what today is, and of course, our topic of discussion will be based essentially on Buhari's presidency the next 4 years. What should Nigerians what should we have on our wish list, really, for the next 4 years? All right, but we'll start with what's trending in the news. But before we get into that, we'll take a very, very brief break to allow our third panelist to take a seat. We'll be right back. Join us again.
What would you rather be watching during your lunch hour? Galaxy Television bringing to you a program that brings you closer to social media, trend the stories,
agenda like you just read out.
breaking news.
There is nothing happening in Kogi beyond the government house that suggests that a governor who is responsible to the people is in charge.
Issues that affect you and family. The Buzz, showing from 12 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday through Friday. It's entertaining, interactive, and buzzing. The Buzz, the program that keeps you glued to your television.
Thanks for joining us again, and welcome Comrade Rahman Adebiyi. He's a political and social analyst. Welcome, sir.
Thank you,
to the table. Happy inauguration day to you as well.
Thank you too.
Okay. All right. Welcome again, viewers. 0802-836-8971 is the number. Straight into trending news. Federal government releases new age classification. The Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development has released a new age classification in Nigeria at the launch of the revised National Youth Policy 2019, which took place in Akure, Ondo State on the 24th of May. The Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Solomon Dalong, disclosed that the age bracket for the classification of youth in Nigeria has been reviewed downward from 18 to 35 years to 15 to 29 years. Dalong, in his foreword, stated that the age classification had to be reviewed downward so that every federal government intervention programs designed for youths will get to the youths themselves and not adults masquerading as youths. According to the Minimum Age Convention of 1973, the general minimum age for admission to employment of work in Nigeria is 15 years. The United Nations defines youth as persons between the ages of 15 and 24 years. All right, 20 seconds each, gentlemen.
Well, I don't know. It's a mismatch. I don't know whether I should hail it or whether I should just slam it. But one thing there is, in a country where you don't cater for all levels, that is what normally happens. If between the age of 18 and 25 has been catered for, then from 25 to 45 is being catered for. There is no reason for someone to jump downward because you really want to receive a favor from a particular cadre. What is important there is that the planning should go beyond it. You should be able to cater for every aspect, every category, so that even till 75, 85 when you are alive, we know a particular state in the country, Southwest to be precise, under Fayemi in the first tenure, that is catering for those ages, and that is what is very, very important. So the same way, they should try to cater for every part, every cadre of ages we have in Nigeria, so that nobody is going to run foul of anything.
Mr. Shokutan.
I think it's a good thing in the sense that we have people who are not, I mean, people my age who say they're youth leaders, you know, my age.
What is your age?
I'm going to be a grandfather every time. I mean, I'm qualified to be a grandfather, and they're youth, you know. So it's a good thing. However, there's a slight conflict that I see there, and it's that our age of adulthood legally is 18. So I don't understand why the 15. Ministry has now gone down to 15 and specifically referenced age of employment, because that would mean that you want to employ minors. Before you can employ somebody of 15 under the law, you must get the consent of their guardians.
Isn't that an abuse of some sort?
Of course it is. It's child abuse. So that policy, they need to take a look at it again if they're going to be linking it to employment and all of that. There's a conflict. Government shouldn't be breaking the law.
Yeah, well said. All right, comrade.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, it's all about trying to, fit for purpose the intervention program by the government of the day. And when you're doing that, like he said, you have to be holistical. And being holistical means that then you go backward and say between 0 to this age, it's a tie to this. Because the question that comes to mind is that if you set this age parameter and you should tell Nigerians why you are setting it and what intervention you want to target at those levels so that people will know, because it means that if you don't say that, then it becomes a generalistic view of what people will take in. And before you know it, you begin to see people employing 15 years old minors, and they will get set by what you have said here, and they will use as justification for their wrongdoing. Okay,
all right. Well, so I think we are all in agreement to that. All right, moving it along. NYSC to bar schools registering unqualified graduates. Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, Shuaibu Ibrahim, has warned Nigerian tertiary institutions against graduating unqualified students to take part in the scheme. Core-producing institutions are warned not to enroll unqualified graduates into the mobilization process of the scheme. The DG said it was disappointing that the compulsory scheme meant for qualified students to serve their country have been populated by a few individuals for fraudulent means. He said the agency is eager to serve its sanctions on higher institutions found wanting to serve as a deterrent to others. He urged the officers to do the right thing and maintain good integrity as well as gather data correctly, pardon me. Okay.
Well, thank God that first within my home constituency, all the rots that we are talking about, it still boils down to structural collapse. If we have a data, I know former governor of Lagos State, Raji Fashola, started. I don't know how far they've gone now. You try much as possible to register all students in Lagos State. that you have to have biodata, you have to have thumb printing, so that as a such child is growing, there is no way you can lie of any age from primary school. He did it for public primary school, junior secondary school, and senior secondary school. The problem we are still having is that we don't have a good data system. If you have a good data system, there is no way you are going to reach HND2, or you want to be in 400 level, and when you have to go for NYSC, then maybe you are over 30 and you now want to just reduce your, it's not going to be possible. It's because we don't have a data bank for all our students in various schools. As we have, then that will have. Then another thing again is that JAMB have tried much as possible in this regard. What happened is that if you were not mobilized for schools from entry, and if you go through that, by the time you want to go for service, you are going to go online. The data you use to enter is what you are going to use for service. So they've tried much as possible, but some schools are still trying much as possible to squeeze into the essence that some schools may still be using some part-times to middle with full-time. You know that part-time will never go for service, but you still see a situation in which some schools always try. Then the private schools are not helping matters in this regard. They are not helping matters in this regard, because we have BSc conversion in some schools. Yes, so there are a lot of things that are still going on.
They are not very tidy.
They are not tidy. Okay. If JAMB could have done theirs, but at the same time, all other institutions, especially Nigerians, should have a data system for all our students. If you have that, then it's going to be very difficult.
All right, Mr. Shokito.
Well, I mean, let me just take it further from where he stopped. It's not only data for our students, it's data for the country. The whole country, it's not a wonder that we're not developing, because some of the foundational requirements for growth and development we simply don't have. You can't plan without data. It's impossible. What you don't measure, you can't improve. It's a saying in process improvement. What you don't measure, you can't improve. So we need to have data, a database of all our citizens from birth till death. And once you have that, then it becomes impossible for this kind of thing to happen. Having said that, it's not surprising that you have all of these anomalies, because the society is anomalous, our economy is anomalous. The unemployment rate is outrageously high. So when the poor guy finishes from university at 33, which is an anomaly in itself, he should have finished from university at 23 at the very latest, even if you had some delays, right? So when he finishes at 33, he looks at himself and he realizes that he's not going to get a job.
Like immediately?
Yeah, he's going to go into the labor market and he's going to be trekking around for. But if you stay in the NYSC, you get your alawi guaranteed for 1 year. So he will squeeze it, go and pay one guy, and they enroll him.
And they share whatever comes.
And they, it gives him some money. So we need to fix our fundamental structural issues before these types of problems will go away. This one that this NYSC person is saying is just talk as usual. The practice will continue because it's a creation of a reality that is confronting us. Until we fix the reality.
Okay.
This is just a symptom of a failed system, and we're trying to do what we call reactionary to it in such a way that we, as a nation, we need to fix our foundation.
Sure.
And what's our foundation? Get our institutions to work. They've all said right. Data is important, because, and if Nigeria says we don't have data, I say we do have, but we are duplicating a lot of effort. Because when you go to the bank, they take your data. You go, every institution duplicates effort because we don't have a trusted, centralized system of data keeping. In such a way that when you enroll in a touch point, you are in the system. There's no way you're going to get out of the system. But in Nigeria, you find people trying to circumvent that system, people who are not in the system coming into the system, and the political will.
Even a lot of Nigerians who are true Nigerians are not captured in the system.
The political will to get things done is not there, because somebody will use his political will negatively to influence, to, because everybody is trying to, shunt the process and make a gain out of it, which we have to, come together as a people to say to ourselves, this is enough.
Okay. All right, sorry, we have to move it along. 0802-836-8971 is still the number to use. Right, we go to our major story of the day, which is Buhari's presidency in the next 4 years. As we all know, President Muhammadu Buhari takes his oath of office for a second and final term in charge of Africa's most populous nation, Nigeria. And we know he was announced the winner of the election, which took place in February on the 23rd, having secured in excess of 15 million votes against his main opposition of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, in excess of 11 million votes. And here we are, gentlemen, another 4 years in the kitchen. All right, let's go and look at a bit of the inauguration ceremony. When we come back, we'll talk about what really is on the wish list for Nigerians this next 4 years after the break.
Flags to the Commander Guards Brigade, Brigadier General Umar Tama Musa. National and defense flags that have been lowered, neatly cased there. And what we're witnessing right now is the Regimental Sergeant Major, Master Warrant Officer Bamidele, marching steadily to hand over the cased flags to the Commander Guards Brigade, Brigadier General Umar Tama Musa. And in turn, the Commander Guards Brigade will march and hand over the lowered flags to the Chief of Defense Staff, General Abayomi Gabriel Olonishakin. Flags being handed over there. And in turn, the Chief of Defense Staff will hand over the lowered flags to His Excellency, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, where he will receive new national and defense flags to be hoisted, signifying the commencement of a new dispensation.
This day, 29 May 2019, on your inauguration, I hereby present to you the national and defense flag for retirement, Your Excellency.
Flags being handed there to His Excellency, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, and in turn, the Chief of Defense Staff will receive new national and defense flags that will be hoisted, signifying the commencement of a new dispensation. Flags being received there by the Chief of Defense Staff from His Excellency, who in turn is marching back to hand over the national and defense flags that have been received from His Excellency to the Commander Guards Brigade. Flags handed over there to the Commander Guards Brigade, who in turn is marching steadily to hand over the national and defense flags that was received from His Excellency to Master Warrant Officer Adams Bamidele.
What would you rather be watching during your lunch hour? Galaxy Television bringing to you a program that brings you closer to social media, trend the stories,
this agenda like you just read out.
breaking news.
There is nothing happening in Kogi beyond the government house that suggests that a governor who is responsible to the people is in charge.
Issues that affect you and family. The Bars, showing from 12 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday through Friday. It's entertaining, interactive, and buzzing. The Bars, the program that keeps you glued to your television.
Okay, we're back. We're back from Igu Square in Abuja. All right, so also with President Muhammadu Buhari taking oath of office, 29 state governors are also taking office across the country. 17 of them secured re-election, while 12 of them are coming in as first-timers. Also, Tuesday evening, it was reported the presidency, in accordance with existing rules, him and his vice president, Yemi Osibajo, have submitted their asset declaration forms with the relative institutions. Of course, we all recall what happened with that, in 2015. But let's not go into all of that. Let's talk about what today is. How symbolic is it? What are the progress that you say Nigeria has actually made, significantly in democracy so far?
I must say that democracy is good. In fact, from 1999 to date, being democratic environment is good. But the problem there is that, is the environment democratic enough? In churning out resources, is it democratic? In bringing out policies, is it democratic? In making promises and fulfilling the promises, is it democratic? Following the rule of law, is it democratic? Having separation of power, is it democratic? And churning out a lot of services to people, is it democratic? That is where we are really cutting it short. But being a democratic environment is good and is enjoyable. But one thing that is very, very certain is this: at today's inauguration, the federal government, the state government, they have to do a rethink, because it's a journey of another 4 years and they must start right. A lot of promises that have been made in the first tenure, for some governments that are coming back, they know that they have to resuscitate and build on what they've done and do good.
All right, in starting right, what exactly would you expect to happen?
The first thing here is the rule of law. I always be an advocate of that, because everything still boils down to our law. There are some certain laws that we need to work on. Then two, every arm of government must work according to the rule. You must be submissive to our law, because that law was the one that gave you victory, was the one that affirmed your victory. So automatically you have to submit to that law in all ramifications. So that one must be the most important thing. Against where federal government is going to go against the rule of law, the government will make the court will make some pronouncement, and the federal government will not do, all states also, because it happens. It's just that we focus much on centers, so they must follow the rule of law. In Nigeria, as we are running a democratic system, we must follow the law to the letter, irrespective of who is involved. All
right, Mr. Shokito, any progress so far in democracy?
It's a very wide question you've asked. I think on a generic level, sure, we've had progress. For one reason, that democracy by nature is a self-improving system. Whether you like it or not, it's going to get better, because the checks and balances that are involved will ensure that we make mistakes and we correct them. So, for instance, the National Assembly has done a couple of things in the last 4 years that has created the awareness that certain things need to change. For example, the process of vetting ministerial appointments. The conversation has gotten to a point where we realize that it's a better practice to send a minister to the National Assembly with his portfolio attached. So now
in person,
yes, that I know that, okay, Mr. Lagbaja has been appointed, and he's been appointed for this ministry, rather than he's been appointed and then you just go there and you just ask generic questions. You know, so that conversation came up. It's come up consistently in the 7th Assembly. It's come up consistently in the 8th Assembly. So obviously what's going to happen next is that most likely by the 9th Assembly, somebody is going to decide to enact that as a law. That's democracy for you. It will improve with time. But speaking specifically about Nigeria, we are a very, very long way from practicing proper, inclusive, democratic governance in this country. So democracy is a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. I think that's the definition. So yes, we have a democracy that is of the people, because the people in government, they are us. They are us. They are out of us.
Well, is it for the people?
Is it for and is it by? So the by part of it, I think the answer is a huge no. Because yes, even if you are involved in the process of putting them there, so we created this government by voting for them. our role as citizens must not end at the point of election. So when we say a government by the people, a lot of engagement that needs to happen, questions that need to be asked, information requests that need to be sent, don't happen in Nigeria. Holding them accountable does not happen in Nigeria. The governments do what they want to do and they get away with it.
Okay.
A fantastic example is when Nigerians were agitating, how much do senators and House of Representative members earn? The rumors were there that they were collecting stupendous amounts of money, and people were saying openness, 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 activism, and all that. One day, a senator blew the whistle and told us, and then that was Shehu Sani. Shortly after, the Senate president instructed the clerk, and they released the information. That's how come we now know that there is something called operating expenses, reimbursable operating expenses. What is that? I'm choosing my words because I'm on TV. Otherwise, I would have added one word in that word. Yes. So what is operating expense? What the actual is operating expenses? But guess what? What happened after they released that information to us? What have we done?
Nothing.
What has Nigerians done? What has happened? What's been the consequence?
Nothing.
Nothing.
What can we do will be a more apt question.
Yeah, there is a lot we can do, but we're just the people that have not imbibed that culture of active participation and engagement. Democracy will never work without the active inclusion and engagement of the citizens.
Said, sir. All right, let's hear from you, comrade.
Well, Nigeria democracy. Since 1999, of course, the experiment between 1979 and 1983, we saw what happened before the incursion of the military. And since then, the question is, how are we going to have democracy that is sustainable? And the question is, when you benchmark sustainability of democracy now to the past, we can say to ourselves that our democracy has been sustainable. But the question now is, how well are we faring in democracy? Yes, by transition from one government to the other, I think we have not done badly. Yeah, even with the noise level, even with a lot of things that have been happening. Okay. But the question is, how well have we grown as a people to embrace fully democracy? Because democracy by now should have enabled us to strengthen all our institutions of government in such a way that there will be separation of power, you know, and there will be overriding powers that, you know, some arm of the government would do on the other. Take, for example, look at the local government, state government, and federal government. You can still see the state government trampling on all the powers of all the state government because everybody wants to do by fiasco and appoint who they wish to be there. So when you look at it from this perspective, you can see that we have a lot of work to be done. And then as a populace, because the power that is being given to the president and the governors today, you know, is derived from the people's power. And today we're enthroning them with that responsibility. And that does not mean that we should now go back and sleep and say, yes, democracy is in top gear, is in shape. Yes, we expect them to deliver on their own part based on the agendas and what the campaign promises they're giving to us. But as a people, what are we going to do on the other side? And a very good example, which I like to break down to Nigerians, is that a very good example is 2019 budget is just been signed about 2 days ago, about 1 day ago or so. So take that budget and ask yourself, how does this relate to my constituency? And what is your constituency? Your constituency is that constituency rep and senator you voted for. You understand? On the federal level, because that's the federal budget. What are the things that is being said here? And if you cannot find it, then you need to go back to your senatorial personality and ask, what is the budget that concerns our region, our constituency from here, and how is it going to translate to us? Yes. So, and then when you do that, which means that you have been able to cascade the details in your hand, then you now begin to hold them accountable to all those details. You now begin to ask series of questions, because the challenge we have is that we do not ask the right questions. And when we ask questions, we just fly this kite without facts. And when you fly information without the proper details, then the persons will just take it for granted, and any day it comes, it comes. If it's been appointed for 4 years,
even when we do ask the questions, like Mr. Shokwiton said, nobody follows up really.
The question is this: how well when is a milestone that you want to begin to use to judge him?
Okay.
Is it going to be quarterly? Is it going to be half yearly? Is it going to be annually?
Yeah.
And so you must begin to ask this. By the time you have these indices, it will help you to know how to engage him. And because the more you engage him, the more our democracy will grow. The more he will get serious, he will go to
because
the
he knows
assembly
yes.
and go and sleep.
People are watching.
Yeah,
okay.
He knows people are watching, and he knows that he has the money of the people to give them a feedback system. Because by now, all those elected into authority powers, just for the sake of the statement, need to devise a means to be accountable to the people. A 100 days accountability is a fair system that will help all of us. And then the people themselves too must be able to ask questions. And when the people ask questions, they must not see it as criticism. Do you understand? Because they are all constructive criticism. Forget about the jokes that people throw about. But when you go underneath those information, you see a cogent fact that the people are yearning for information. And then communication is key. It has to be two ways. In everything being said, it means that the people in government must communicate, and the generality of the people
being governed
must communicate as well, so that we can have a totality of system.
Okay, all right, but can we talk about the three arms of government? In the past 4 years, of course, we saw what happened, some skirmishes here and there. What should we expect, from them, so that, they can work together better in the next 4 years, and also understand the importance of each arm of government, so that we can have an effective governing system?
Well, to me, irrespective of whatever people have about the leadership of the National Assembly, the outgoing one, based on policy, I still give it to them. I still give it to them. One thing there is it still boils down to the rule of law. Okay. Because in our law, for the fact that we practice federalism, that still give room for separation of power. But a situation in which the executive really want to be overriding the legislature and also the judicial arm of government, then there's going to be a problem. This time around, irrespective of anybody becoming Senate President, the Speaker, House of Representatives, what is important, the reason why I said the outgoing National Assembly, I give it to them, is that to some certain level, they try to be independent. Maybe because of what brought Yakubu Dogara and Senate President Olubukola Saraki, that was what. But this particular one, we are expecting a National Assembly that will be independent. We are looking for a National Assembly that will be watchdog to the executive, and we are looking at National Assembly that, without favor, will be able to give us a law that will bring changes in a lot of things. Okay. There are a lot of laws that really needs to be.
All right. Let's be aware of time.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Shokito.
So we'll, I agree with him to a certain degree. We don't want a rubber stamp National Assembly. You said three arms of government. So the other two arms are the National Assembly and the judiciary. We want a National Assembly that goes beyond the surface and rhetoric and playing to the gallery, because we've had too much of that. A lot of the so-called laws that were enacted in the last assembly were superfluous. They were simply unnecessary. They were repeating what existing laws had to a large extent addressed already. So nothing impactful and fundamental. Our problems will not be solved by treating the lakpa, pardon, on the surface. We've got to deal with the leprosy. We've got to look at the root cause of whatever we're seeing on the surface, and then that's what we expect from a National Assembly. Then the judiciary needs to do a thorough introspection, because without them, they are the most important arm of government, in my view, because they are the ones that provide the balance when people are going out, so they're the ones that you run to.
And bring fairness.
So that fairness and balance is critical. They need to be less partisan. I'm not accusing them of anything. I'm just saying this is what we want to see. We want to see a judiciary that we can be sure is above board. They have to be incorruptible. The incorruptibility of the judiciary is critical for the success of this administration, and so that's what I want to see.
Yeah, I think one of the factors of democracy is rule of law. And in rule of law come with the separation of powers. And with separation of powers come independent. And with independent come a robust system of accountability and checks and balances. And with check and balances, then you can get the dividend of democracy. And with that, our institutions will be strengthened. All our policy directions will focus and address the need of the people, not the superfluous ones that we found ourselves into. And the judiciary will begin to function and expedite, the system in such a way that we won't have long gestation period for trial process. Everything will become seamless, fast, and the executive will be in check. The legislators will become functional. I mean functional by everybody participating. We don't want people sleeping when other people are making law. Because what it means that the whole constituency, maybe in your constituency, you're about 2 million people, and one person representing you is sleeping. It means
2
that
million people are sleeping. And then the other half are not even present.
That's what it means. So that our people can begin to take it in and begin to know how it feels when the people who they put forth to represent them, they begin to appreciate and evaluate by themselves. Oh, okay, I think we use some yardstick that are not proper to put in there. So those are the questions that we need to come into play right now. So, and to make ourselves a better people, we ourselves, we need to be watchdogs as a people.
Okay. All right, well said. All right, we have a lot of messages coming in. Pascal from Duce says, I wish Mr. President a better term in office. May he practice an all-inclusive regime. All right, Buhari next 4 years for Nigeria. We are not happy at all, Nigerian people. All right, PMB should improve. Please stop calling the line. Just send your messages. Thank you. Femi Salami from Ikorodu says PMB should improve the economy and power supply. The Ministry of Power should be on its own with an expert as the minister. All right, this one says Buhari's last 4 is not something one would say is the best. Service chiefs, Buratai is not his spanner nor his tires. We need capable people that can work in the area of security, education and economy that will take us to the coming years. Buhari again is not the government of Fulanis, he is for all. Giang Peter from Jos sent that one in. All right, this other one coming in. All right, please, I have to say, if you send in your messages without a name or a location, I will not read. Hello, good afternoon. How is work? How is today and your work? Thank you. I am very happy today because of the inauguration. I am so happy because of the new Nigeria 2019. God bless our Nigeria. Wow, I like this guy's spirit, regardless. His name is Hidar from Kano State. Thank you for that message. So many messages here. So many. All right. This one from Benue State says, we are appealing to Mr. President to use the next 4 years and save public primary school teachers from the hands of governors. Thank you for that. We have to move it along. All right, let's talk about this new cabinet. Of course, we know the last cabinet, it took a long wait. And we know how Nigerians reacted to that. And then they were accused of, even when they finally came into office, they didn't hit the ground running. So what really is our expectations for this new cabinet?
Well, I know we are not going to wait for, I think we are not going to wait for that 6 months this time around. Because there are a lot of work to be done, although there are some certain works that have been set in the 4 years. So this particular time, like one of our pilots said behind the camera, that a situation in which we are going to have a president this night that will announce the cabinet that is going to be look fantastic. But what is important is that we know the political inclinations we have in this country, but I know that with a serious governance, there is nothing said that within maximum of 2-3 days, 1 week, we have the list of those people that are going to mantle different ministry. But the president should try much as possible, should be able to dilute much of technocrats, politicians, and those people that are willing to work. Because there are three different things. Some people are politicians, and some people always mention technocrats. We want technocrats. Majority of all these ministers, they are also technocrats. Majority of them. Go and look at them. Go and size them based on biography. They are also technocrats. Because you cannot tell me that the former governor of Lagos State, Fashola, is not a technocrat. I will never agree with you. So what is important there is that you should be able to pick technocrats, the politicians, and also those who are ready to work. There are some people, they are not politicians. In fact, they may not be much of technocracy, whatever, but give them a job to do. They are going to do it to the level.
Okay, all right, Mr. Shokito.
I mean, like he said, what I would really like to see is the president coming out with a list today. Today. It will set the tone that things are going to be different. If you can't do it today,
and maybe a bit more fast-paced.
Yeah, absolutely, fast-paced. We don't want Baba go slow again, please. You know, it's gotten to a point where the president seems to have accepted that nickname and is even glorying in it. It's not a good thing. Our problems are too many for us to be going at snail pace. Like somebody somewhere said, you know, let me make my mistakes quickly. If I'm going to make mistakes, let me do it quickly so I can correct them, rather than not do anything. Right? So that's on the one hand. But really, for me, two things. One, there are certain names that I just want to. I'm telling Mr. President, better not. We must not see those names on that list.
On the new list, okay.
There's some minister of sports. You know, there are some funny ministries that you just wonder what those guys were doing on that list. We don't want to see them. If we see them there, we'll hound the president on social. In fact, I will lead the protest personally to Aso Rock, and I will not eat for 1 week until they change them.
Okay.
So that's on a lighter note. But on a very serious note, I think that what I really would love to see is a pruning of there are too many. Does Mr. President want to leave a legacy for Nigeria? Okay. We need to deal with this constitutional requirement for 36 ministers. It's atrocious. For the resources we have and the number of people we have, we don't need more than, I mean, the United States has 15 ministers, for God's sake. 15. I don't think we need more than 20 to 25 ministries. Let's prune it down for efficiency. Let's have a lean, mean set of technocrats, whiz kids that will really address our problems. And then, finally, Mr. President needs to look at our civil service because that is the engine upon which these guys sit on to do their work.
All right, let's hear Comrade quickly.
Yeah, I think one of the values that Mr. President should abide by is what we call meritocracy. Meritocracy means that you give the guy who can do the job, let him do it. Don't say ministerial appointment in Nigeria, we see it as a reward system for some sort of people and all that. And that is the engine room of the nation to work. Yeah, of course, the person can, your policy direction will be known. If I was the president today, I'm telling you, in the next few minutes, I'm going to address the nation. I'm going to communicate all my agendas to them. And I'm going to list the people that's going to work with me. Because the people, how do you build confidence? You build confidence by coming up front to the people and say, this is what I intend to do. This is how I'm going to achieve those things. And the people, and these are my team. Because when you amass your team, the people will regard you very well. And meritocracy means that you pick people who can deliver, who are smart, fast, intelligent, and who has the capacity, to galvanize things to be done. Okay. Because these are critical factors. Now is not the time to go slow anymore. This is the time to fast forward and leapfrog into the future that Nigerians want. Because the economic system of this country, as we speak, is not something to write home about. Recession is in the offing. We don't want that to repeat itself. We want people who will turn around every sector of this economy into prosperity. And with that, Nigerians will be happy. Even if you play any kind of politics you want, as far as there is food for Nigerians on their table, there's work, and there is abundance, in terms of healthcare, in terms of education, in terms of all sectors of the economy, Nigerians will be happy. Because with that and a good security for life and property, Nigerians will be happy that Mr. President is functioning better. Okay.
All right, let's read a few more feedbacks before we continue. Kenneth Emmy Thomas from Brass says, I want the government to enumerate political office holders and the same with civil servants and bring down the cost of governance in the country. Buhari is a solution to Nigeria, so says this next one. Okay, hello, I'm Samuel from Cross River. I wish the president good governance as he moves Nigeria to the next level. Okay. Baba should do more and stop the blame game. Both the president and the ministers did not do well. All right, in the next 4 years, the federal government, in a bid to curb unemployment in the country, they're seeking more broader ways of providing opportunities to Nigerians, and they are targeting 20 million jobs in the next 4 years. To this effect, the ministry has charged the Industrial Training Fund, ITF, to come up with revolutionary, multifaceted job wealth creation strategies that will lead to a lasting solution to this hydra-headed problem. Also, Buhari has vowed a corruption crackdown in his second term, and he says that his frustration is we cannot move faster in prosecution and punishment of corrupt persons. So said the president on a recent television interview. Okay, former aviation minister Femi Fani-Kayode in a recent interview also described the president's last 4 years as a monumental failure. That and much more ongoing. It's going to be a very interesting 4 years for Nigeria and Nigerians, if I dare say so. But then, gentlemen, on the last note, in 20 seconds, is there anything we want to say about the seemingly smooth transition, that has just occurred in Nigeria?
Well,
quickly.
We have to thank God, because it's not easy for someone to be moving from one civilian regime to another civilian regime. Exactly. And for us to be doing that from 1999 to date, we still need to give glory to God. But the politicians, the intending public office holder should know that whatever they do, they are going to account for it, if not within the ambit of the law in Nigeria, but to Almighty God, because it's the one that gives power.
All right.
I will just like to say that 4 years is his final chance to write his name in gold. I want the president to galvanize Nigerians behind him. He's failed to do that in the first 4 years. It's his duty and his obligation as our president, is the president of everybody, to ensure that Nigerians support him across the board. It's critical. If he doesn't do that, he will fail. So for me, the biggest problem this country has today is corruption. That argument is still out there, but nobody has convinced me otherwise. It's corruption. So for him to fix corruption, because of how endemic it is, everybody has got to be on board. So he needs to start from his constituency, from within his cabinet, from the people around him, read it out, root it out, and we'll support you.
Communication is key. The last 4 years, communication had contributed to the woes of this country. Going forward, the people in government must communicate rightly, and the governed too must find a way to communicate back to government in a structured manner, in such a way that we, as a people, we can begin to listen to each other and move forward. And thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, Sir Uwaile from Imo State says, Mr. President should carry everybody along and make efforts to stop Boko Haram. All right, Titi Layo from Ibadan. I beg now, money I need. I will be happy if you give me. Okay, money will come. Let's fix the system. All right, gentlemen, we cannot conclude without mentioning Lagos State, of course. Outgoing President Akinwumi Ambode has also handed over to the governor-elect, who is now the governor anyways, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Of course, we'll leave you with clips of the handover from Ambode to Sanwo-Olu, but then many thanks, gentlemen. It's been a fantastic show today. Thank you, Mr. Nuruddin Adegbenro. Thank you, Mr. Shegun Shokweto. And thank you, Comrade Rahman Adegbenro.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, viewers, for your contributions. Okay, all right. So another 4 years, a new dawn for Nigeria. History is being made today. Even though there's this calmness in the air, I think we should be hopeful and quite expectant of a better Nigeria. That's how I feel truly. Okay, we'll leave you with this clip of Ambode handing over to Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State. See you tomorrow, same time. Enjoy the rest of your day and the holiday. Bye.
Move back. Come back. Take your position. Yes.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.